7 days a week. Just log into kmdlaw.com, or you can call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. It doesn't matter how imposing the opposition may be, because the team at kmdlaw.com are battle-tested and fierce. They will not stop until justice prevails. Contact KMD Law. Emailrevealer.com. Go to emailrevealer.com. We handle adoption investigations, infidelity investigations, email tracing, locate or identify somebody from as little as an anonymous email address. Someone owe you money? Back child support? We can find that deadbeat and even assist you in obtaining a judgment and recover that judgment for you. Emailrevealer.com. Digital forensics, computer forensics, cell phone forensics, recover deleted text messages. Create a report that you can use in court. Emailrevealer.com, 800-572-9762. Hey guys, if you like the show and you want to show your support, check out the Opperman Report Patreon. We have all the shows that you hear Monday through Friday on AM/FM radio, but we cut out the ads, so you can hear that content ad-free. The Opperman Report Patreon, you should stop there once a day and check out what's going on over there. That's Opperman Report Patreon.
It's the Opperman Report. Join digital forensic investigator and PI Ed Opperman for an in-depth discussion of conspiracy theories, strategy of New World Order resistance, high-profile court cases in the news, and interviews with expert guests and authors on these topics and more. It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Daddy, hurry, I saw something scurry. Son, what's all this screaming for? You're gonna wake the neighbors next door. Daddy, I think there's a spider on my floor. Is it? And will you squish it? You call me in here in the middle of the night to come into your room and destroy life. Is that what they teach you in Sunday school? But Daddy, it's gross. It's got a million legs, a billion eyes, a trillion eggs. Son, it's not disgusting, it's just reality. Take a deep breath and appreciate life. Look how delicate his legs are, crawling across your bedroom floor. Do you know the proper name? Arachnids! That's right. We're living in a world that's full of creatures, big and small, hairy and spiny. You're not the center of the world. How would you feel if a giant ant came out of the sky and decided to crush you? I guess I'd be scared, but Daddy, what if the spider hurt me? He didn't hurt you yet, did he, son? Your logic is flawed, you come undone. Swallow your pride. What if the spider said the same thing? Daddy, kill that kid. That's the point, Dad. What if he did? That's why I have to strike first. What if he did? What if he did it? What if the world was made of pudding? All I'm saying is consider something besides your thirst for blood. Dad, you're right. Now I see. Maybe you've got a family. Now you're learning, understanding. Finally, you're becoming human. Let's return him to his natural habitat. Put him in a cup and take him outside. Godspeed.
Okay, welcome to the Opperman Report. Okay. Yeah, I am your host, private investigator Ed Opperman. You can find me at Opperman Investigations and Digital Forensic Consulting. If you email me at oppermaninvestigations@gmail.com. If you like our show, be sure to check out our Patreon, Opperman Report Patreon. You can go there. Everything you hear Monday to Friday on AM/FM radio, you can find at the Opperman Report Patreon with all the ads and the commercials cut out. It's ad-free, commercial-free, plus there's a lot of exclusive content. I still haven't gotten around to it, but I am going to be putting up that content. I have some not top secret, but some exclusive recorded phone calls from Courtney Love and her father, Hank Harrison, when Courtney Love was over there at the Juvenile Detention Center years and years and years ago. And also some calls with Hank and El Duce, that fellow there, the rock and roll guy, the rocker, who died on the train tracks, who had all kind of... He claimed that Courtney Love tried to hire him to murder Kurt Cobain. So we have that too as well. You can keep an eye out for that. All of our archives for free you could find at Spreaker.com, Spreaker.com. We do a live show Friday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'm doing a live TikTok right now. You can go on TikTok, Ed Opperman TikTok. And I'm doing a live video. I hope it's coming out with the audio and stuff like that. First time I ever tried to do it, so see what happens, see if it works at all. There's at Spreaker.com, there's a chat room. And you get an email notification when we put up new content. So that's Spreaker.com. Okay, name of tonight's show is You Don't Scare Us. Okay, and you know. All right, okay. Let's see. Well, it's been a busy week. I got to tell you, it's been a crazy, crazy week. If you know, you've been following me for the past previous weeks, you know that my client for 10 years, Keith Davidson, testified this week against Donald Trump. So that's been an exhausting effort there, dealing with all that kind of crap. Okay, that's been no joke. Then, I still don't have a refrigerator. Okay, my refrigerator broke about a week ago. I haven't had time to get online and really search and find a good, cheap deal. You know, a good economic, a good bargain. You know, so I'm looking for a bargain, is what I want. And I haven't been able to come up with that, so I have no food in the fridge, which means I have no food in the house. So I go yesterday, and I go to pick up an Impossible Whopper over at Burger King. And I buy the Whopper, you know, no mayo, you know, and I get the Whopper, I take it home. And for some reason, they charged me the regular price, but for some reason, it was a double Whopper. There were 2 patties in there. So when I get it home, I said, 2 patties. Okay, this is good. And I said, is this really, you know, Impossible? Maybe they put meat. They gave me the wrong burger. So, you know, but wrapped it up in the wrong thing. So I take a couple of bites, and it turns out it was too much. I didn't want to eat that many patties at once. So I open it up to throw out one of the patties, and I look at one of these patties, and there was already a bite taken out of one of these patties. Okay, so that just ruined my appetite for the whole rest of the day. I didn't eat anything. Then I had another day this week where I had a huge fever and chills and stuff like that all night long. And then today, when I bought my bagels and I took a first bite out of the bagel, there was a 10-inch hair in the freaking bagel. So just a horrible, horrible week. And then, you know, like I said, my client testified against Trump this week, which was cool. But then I find out that they're basically smearing him on the news. I'm watching CNN all week long. They have no clue what they're talking about. It's infuriating, and it's so damn frustrating. We'll be getting into that more later on. But the real topic I want to start with tonight is the protest, the Free Palestine protest going on at college campuses across the country. Now, before I get to that, though, I told you about my friend Courtney last week. She's been a friend about 10 years, too, you know. And she was on the show years and years and years ago. She just had to go in for some brain surgery. And, you know that went well. Everything was going good with that. And then there was supposed to be, they had these electrodes in her head. They drilled 14 holes in her head, and they put in these electrodes in the head. And then it turns out that what happens is, she was supposed to get some kind of because they put the electrodes in there because she has these seizures, so they were monitoring the seizures. And then they went to put these electricity, some kind of treatment, electronic volts or something in her head. I'm not quite sure because, you know, it's difficult talking to somebody when they're in the hospital for so long and they're being monitored. They got these cables coming out of their head. And something happened. I don't know what happened. They had some kind of breakdown with the nurses in the hospital. They called the cops and kicked her husband out of the hospital. So we're trying to deal with that situation, okay? Which is no fun when I've got this other thing going on, which is a pretty much 24-hour thing. You know, when you're at trial, you know, it's a full-time job. By the way, if you don't know who I am, if you're watching on TikTok, I'm a private investigator. I'm a digital forensic investigator, and I host a talk show on the radio 5 nights a week on AM/FM radio in 150 cities across the country. But the best way to find the show, Opperman Report, is to go to Spreaker.com, and you can find all the shows there. You can search all the different topics, conspiracy theories, true crime, politics, scandals, all kinds of good stuff there. You can find an Opperman Report at Spreaker. But there's a Patreon, too, Opperman Report Patreon, and we have additional exclusive content. So now that's the Courtney situation. Then I have this other client we're working with that where she was a model in New York City, a teen model back in New York City about 15 years ago. And this fellow who owned a nightclub down there, also for some reason, he had a model apartment that he would rent rooms to models, okay, teen models, underage models mostly. This was his, I don't know how you make the connection there. Nightclub owner, renting rooms to models, okay. When I had a nightclub, I owned a nightclub in Manhattan myself, and we did have the mailing list for the different modeling agencies, but we certainly didn't move them in with us, okay, into our rental apartments. Okay, we never considered doing that. But anyway, so we have that whole situation. So with this guy, he had these teen models in his place, and he would take them underage back to his nightclub. And there were a couple of incidents where these young ladies had a sexual battery by friends of his and associates in this nightclub situation there. Okay, so we have that. We're working on that. Okay, then I just got hit with this other really big one. This is a big one. It's regarding a political campaign that's going on right now, and there's a huge sexual harassment scandal going on within this campaign, where one of the young ladies was so in fear of her life that she had to hire 24-hour armed guards because of the threats and harassment that were coming at her from her bosses, and it's this consulting company that came in to run the campaign. Serious stuff. It's going to blow up. I'm doing a series of interviews tomorrow with all these young ladies, and my source who put me in touch with this whole thing, they're all very nervous, and so we're working on either a series of articles and plus possibly some litigation. Okay, that's all that stuff's out of the way. Let's see how we're doing on time here. Okay, we're doing good. We're doing very good. Hey, happy Friday. Hey, good. What's going on with you, Shane? We haven't seen you in a long time. I'm getting worried about you, bro. Went in one of the chat rooms there at Spreaker.com. You can go there and join the chat room and chat with each other. Okay? All right. Oh, bye. I'll get into that. All right. So, we got this situation all across the country where these college students are creating encampments and shutting down their campuses in order to get their colleges to divest their funds from Israel and from companies that support Israel and are supporting this war in Gaza, which is really a one-sided war. It's many. I don't know how you could not consider this genocide at this point, where the people are starving, and just the whole destruction going on over there is just horrific. And these young students at serious campuses, serious schools, these are intelligent kids. They're not stupid. And they're out there now putting their bodies on the line to make a statement and put a stop to this, okay? And, of course, me and my background as a leftist, as a long leftist, socialist, not a Democrat, not a Republican, okay? Both Democrats and Republicans are both capitalists, so they're on your side. The Democrats and the Republicans are on the exact same side. And there was a time in this country where we did have powerful, active socialist parties and communist parties in this country. And we may be seeing a time where we could have that again, okay? We had the campaign of Bernie Sanders, who calls himself a democratic socialist. He's not really advocating real socialist policies of like nationalizing the oil industry or nationalizing the banks. But he is advocating for more services for the poor and for the working class, okay, and more rights for the working class, which is always a good step. But I want real socialism. I want to nationalize the oil industry and put all that money, all those profits that the oil industry makes, into your pocket, into my pocket, instead of into their pockets, and then reduce the price of oil, which would then, and gasoline, which would then reduce the price of all goods and services all throughout the economy in every possible way, which could do nothing but be a boon to us. And of course, increasing, we could double the tax on the 1%. And the rest of us would have to pay no tax, and it would still be a 40% increase in revenue per year. So that's basically my economic policies. If you're a new TikToker following out there on TikTok, God, I can't believe I'm doing this, but okay, let's go with it. So we're watching this, and then it seemed that there was a coordinated attack across the country on these students. Okay, just the other night, I think it was Thursday night. No, yesterday was Thursday. It had to be Wednesday night. I had to take a little ride too. I was supposed to go down to Miami. My ex-girlfriend's best friend, her former best friend, when we broke up, they kind of broke up too, and and then we became friends, you know. And she came down to Miami, and they're going to Key West. So I was going to go down in Miami and drive them down to Key West. But my car, I need to make repairs to my car. It's minor repairs. I just don't have the time. You know, I got so much going on right now. So that was another day shot this week, man. But I had to meet them in Orlando instead. Now, one day this week, the cops go raiding Columbia University on the second floor. They were barricaded on the first floor. They raid in on the second floor. Now, we see with our own eyes on Morning Joe, the top cop who ran that operation, sitting there on Morning Joe Live saying, yeah, we asked the president of Columbia University to lie to the students and tell them that we were still negotiating, that we're still in sincere negotiations when they really weren't, and we were planning to attack these unarmed kids and go in there with our batons and our mace and a gun went off in that joint too, you know, okay? And then people go back there and say, hey, look at all the damages to the school. We can see when you're watching this thing live, we can see the cops throwing the chairs and stuff over the railings. So most of this damage was done by cops. Then we hear them say, the cops put out a statement, there were anarchists, well-known anarchists in that building. And we know these anarchists. We know them because we've been surveilling them for years. These guys have been under surveillance for years, just on the outside chance that something like this would happen one day. We'd be ready for it. So it's not illegal to be an anarchist in the United States of America. You know, oh my God. And it's not illegal to be a communist or a socialist either, but, you know, it's very unhealthy for you, and you will run into a lot of problems and a lot of harassment and stalking and all kind of problems in your life. Government and capitalist companies who will try to cause a problem for you. But then we hear that, oh no, Ed, Mr. Opperman, and all your fans out there, and all the people out there in Radioland, these weren't students, these were outside agitators. Outside agitators. Now, where have I heard that before? Where did the expression outside agitators originate? With Bull Connor in the 1960s, at the beginning of the civil rights movement, to justify the use of police dogs and fire hoses on citizens trying to obtain civil rights and equality. That's where the expression outside agitators comes from. So if we're going to start bringing back an expression like outside agitators, are we going to bring back the Negro, the colored? Are we going to bring that back too? Are we going to bring, we already got the fire hoses and the dogs coming up. We know that. But this is a reverse. Okay, this is a reverse in what we want in our country here. But what the name of the show tonight is You Don't Scare Us. And the reason for that is, especially in Berkeley, where these protests were going on as well, the leaders of the demonstration were chanting into their megaphones. At one point, they were chanting, "Neener, neener, neener, we're not leaving. You don't scare us." But when the crowds would chant back, they would go, "Neener, neener, we're not leaving." But when the part was, "You don't scare us," it was a roar. You don't scare us. So what I see here is a radicalization of these intelligent college graduates, okay? These are not stupid. These are not the stupid people you'll find at a Trump rally, okay? These are smart people. These are people that understand what socialism is. These are people that understand what communism is. And these are people that clearly understand that capitalism does not work. And capitalism has failed in the United States of America. And don't kid yourself, ladies and gentlemen. Capitalism has failed everywhere they've tried it. Look at the capitalist utopias of Haiti, Dominican Republic, Guatemala. They've all failed. In Haiti, they're still living under rubble from rocks from an earthquake 20 years ago. Okay? Capitalism does not work. It has failed in the United States. And each and every one of us, every heartbeat listening to my voice right now would benefit under socialism. Okay? Something new has hit TikTok tonight. Okay? I'm watching these TikToks. I see, right? And what I was doing was, I'll admit, I'm kind of a troll, okay, on the internet, And I do it under my real name. I don't care, And what I'll do is I notice I'm flipping through all these TikToks and I'm seeing there's a cop there in uniform sitting in his cop car all day long on TikTok. With all his the tactical vest with the magazine sticking out, all this kind of stuff, right? And I say, what's going on here? And then I start seeing all these Department of Defense, every branch of the military, and they got a soldier just sitting on TikTok all day long. Like, what? And then, I started saying, but I don't want to see one of these poor kids, man, wasting their life. I don't want to see one of these soldiers over and over and again. So I start looking through to block them. Then I start noticing that all of these soldier accounts and these cop accounts, they don't just have one account. They've got like 10 backup accounts. So when you go to block one, you see they've got like 4 or 5 different. So what? I just saw the guy again. What's going on here? So I have to confess, what I would do was when I would see these soldiers, especially, a guy, retired veteran, and I started off typing in, do you regret wasting your life? And I got to tell you, man, every single time you could see it in their eyes, when they read that, do you regret wasting your life? You can just see. Yeah, look, if you're out there, you're thinking of joining the military of the United States of America, you're looking forward to a lot. First of all, rape. There's 25% rape in the U.S. military, not just women. Okay, these are men getting raped too. Okay, that's one. Okay, and I did a show about this. Okay, so you got that. Then you got drug addiction. Veterans have a higher increase of substance abuse, alcoholism, drug addiction. Then you have a higher rate of petty crimes and arrests. Okay. Shoplifting, domestic violence, battery, that kind of stuff, man. Car theft, those kind of petty crimes, burglaries. Then you have domestic violence increases, divorce increases veterans. Then you have homelessness, and finally suicide. That's what you're getting into. Your rates of all your chances of suffering all those consequences increases greatly. By the way, one more thing about this Columbia University, right? They have this cop shows up and he says, "Look at this! What they use to chain the doors. This is an industrial chain and an industrial lock." And it turns out that the Columbia University sold that lock on campus. It was a bicycle lock. They sold it on campus as a discount to students, at a discount to students. So we have all this information. Okay, let's see. I think I covered everything about you do not scare us. And I encourage these kids out there, if you hear my voice out there, I encourage you to fight the good fight. You're young and healthy, man, okay? I'm very little. Physically, there's very little I can do, okay? I can advise you. I will support you. I'll put you on the air. I'll interview you guys left and right. You want to come on the show, man, I'll bring you on all the time and support your efforts here. But I believe this is a positive impact in our political conversation to have these youngsters out there taking a stand and putting their bodies in the line. They're courageous, and I salute you. Okay, so that is what do you call the topic of "You Don't Scare Us." Okay, and when you hear their voices, man, those kids were passionate. All right, let's get into Donald Trump. Criminal trial this week. It's been about 10 days. And this week we had Keith Davidson testify. He's the attorney who put together the Stormy Daniels deal. And I'm watching this. Okay. And if you listened to my show last week, you can go to my archives. You can find the show on Patreon. You can find the show I did last week. I already told everybody about Tia Tequila. And I told, and there's a lot of other names that are going to come up too. Octomom. There's a lot of names. Bunny Boo Boo. There's a lot of names that are going to come up. Okay. Now with Keith Davidson, this guy, I have worked with a lot of attorneys over the years. Okay. And to work with one attorney for 10 years says a lot, especially for me. People who know me, who's been listening to this show for 10 years, you know that I'm not that easy to get along with, okay? I don't take a lot of BS. I don't take a lot of crap, okay? I don't trust a lot of people. And Keith Davidson has been a good friend. He's done a lot for me. He's done a lot for my family. This is a good man. He's a straight shooter. He's never lied to me. I've never had a client come to me and complain about him, okay? Where so often, man, you know, when you're dealing with a client and there's friction between the client and the attorney and me, you know, and it's just, oh my God, I'm out of here, you know. I resign right away. I don't want to deal with it. We've never had that problem. And this is an incredibly respected attorney around the world. This is a guy that's worked Epstein cases, guys, okay? And they're not talking about that. I don't know why the prosecution let that happen. There's a lot of things they brought up in that questioning of Mr. Davidson that should not have been allowed. They should have been objected to, okay? And I'm going to explain some of it to you. Some of these lurid scandals you're hearing about, okay? Because I know the details on every one of those things, okay? In real time as they went on, okay? I first got involved with Gina way back, Gina Rodriguez, who was the agent for Stormy Daniels. I got involved with her way back in the Tiger Woods case. And she was involved in Wienergate, okay? She represented Sydney Leathers. She represented that first woman, Maria, who was the first woman with the text messages. She was worked at the casinos in Las Vegas. I did the cell phone forensics on all those cases, okay? So I know these people very well. And I've been involved in a lot of stuff with them. And yes, there's a lot of stuff is kind of, you know, it's kind of crazy, wacky stuff, man. But still, Keith works many serious cases. He's respected. Trust me, man. Okay, when I talk to other attorneys and I mention his name, especially in Beverly Hills, okay, like when you Marty Singer and stuff like that, these Hollywood, they all know him. They all respect this guy. This guy's no slouch whatsoever. And they're trying to portray him. They're trying to smear this man. And there's something about the Opperman report that you get involved with me and suddenly there's a smear campaign going on, okay? We just did I did 3 hours exclusive with William Hamilton, who was the head, the president of Inslaw Software, the Promise Software that was the center of the Octopus Danny Casolaro story. And you can watch on Netflix. The Netflix just did this series after I did my interviews exclusively. This guy hasn't done an interview in 45 years. Mr. Inslaw, Mr. Hamilton, and then this crackpot octopus show on Netflix goes and smears this fellow. Okay, he's a very respectable man. But we see here Mr. Keith Davidson being smeared here, and you know this stuff pisses me off so much you have no idea. And, you know, and you heard me how pissed off I got when they smeared Hamilton. Now you're going to hear me even worse. Okay, with this. Okay, because this is really. You know, it was bad enough that when I'm watching CNN all week long and they just don't understand this case, they don't understand the charges in this case. And I know just about everybody involved. I've known Gina Rodriguez is Stormy Daniels' agent. I've known her since like 2008. Keith Davidson, I've known him around since 2010. All right. Hope Hicks, I've met Hope Hicks. She testified today that Trump's chief of her comms director, right? I've met her at the rallies when I was covering the campaign rallies on the campaign trail, okay, the Trump rallies. I have her personal cell phone. I have her email. And when I was invited to go cover the announcement at Mar-a-Lago when Trump was announcing for president, and it was like a website. You had to go in there and sign up, and tell them your name, your outlets, what stations you're on, how many people you're bringing with you. And I'm bad at procrastination, so I didn't get to it in time. And I contacted Hope Hicks about that, and she said, "No, I can't help you. I'm not with the campaign anymore." So Hope Hicks is a very respectable woman, very professional woman, okay, and a very nice woman, okay, very nice person. So I have no problem with her. Dylan Howard, I've known him. I've worked on some stuff with him. He was with AMI, the National Enquirer, of course, Keith Stevenson, who's my sponsor on this show. Okay, he's a sponsor of the show. Okay, for a long time, like 5 or 6 years. All right. And then, of course, Gina Rodriguez, who is the agent for Stormy Daniels. And it's going to come out, I guess, next week. You'll hear it here first. But she's also at one time was the agent for Octomom, for Farrah Abraham, the teen mom. Who is that one too? Tan Mom. Okay, she was the agent for Tan Mom. So she's a lot of wacky stuff. And while she was working, she was producing that TV show for Mama June and Honey Boo Boo called From Not to Hot. While she was producing that show and on that show, that's when these negotiations were going on over this Stormy Daniels deal. And another thing, too, I mentioned it last week. None of these people needed that $130,000, man. When Keith came to Las Vegas to take on the case of Byron Williams, who was murdered by police, when on video, I'm on body cam yelling, "I can't breathe, I can't breathe." And Keith came down here and took on that case and advised that family of their rights and got them through the whole initial situation there. Okay. He spent more than $10,000 flying down here in rooms and stuff like that and travel. Trust me. Okay. So $10,000 is nothing to this guy. And Stormy Daniels didn't need this money. She doesn't need this headache. None of these people need this headache right now, including me. Stormy Daniels was a successful movie producer. She was successful. She got a horse ranch with a horse business. And Gina Rodriguez has a lot of clients, too. She's involved in a lot of stuff. Me and Gina don't talk anymore. But she comes and goes with everybody. She has her ins and outs with everyone she's in contact with, basically. But actually, I love her. When I had my whole church praying for her one time when she was sick. And hey, by the way, man, pray for my friend here, too, Ian Totten. He's got a GoFundMe called Save Our Ship. And he's a podcaster. He's a fellow private investigator. He does a great show. I just interviewed him this week about the O.J. Simpson case. And he's done a series of podcasts on that. I've interviewed him about the West Memphis 3, about Jimmy Savile. Really nice guy. And he's got some his wife has serious medical problems. And they can't keep up with the bills and the finances to keep things going. And he's got kids. So we did a whole show with him. I was hoping I could play it tonight, but it just wasn't ready. Because I taped, tonight after this, we're playing a show with Bill Deere, who wrote that book about he thinks OJ's innocent and he thinks Jason did it. So if you're watching on TikTok, you can listen to that right after this. Right when I shut this damn thing off, okay? You can you can listen on Spreaker.com or just Google Opperman Report, and you can find I'm on every podcast in the world platform. You can find the show. It's very easy to find. I got like 4,000 shows. I do 5 nights a week. I do radio 5 nights a damn week. Okay. All right. So I finally taped with Bill Deere, and you can listen to the interview. And we got along great, man. We got along really good in the pre-interview. But then when we started taping the interview, and I was asking him some questions, I think his theory falls apart. And he believes it. Okay, he says he's got a witness. He bought Jason's car. He went to the storage locker, bought all that storage locker equipment. He's really into this. That's a lot of work. If people only had any idea how much effort and time and effort it takes to do that much work he's done on this. He wrote this book, which has been very successful, but it's kind of out of print. You really can't even get it. You have to get the Kindle version. So, Bill Deere, and then this other fellow, Dr. Lance Moore. Now, he wrote this book. I forget the name of it, man, off the top of my head. Oh, yeah, it's about cults and Manson and how cults brainwash people and stuff like that. And he brings to it his experience as a court investigator. I think a pretrial sentencing investigator is what he is, as well as he was one time a pastor of a church and a musician, a rock musician. And, I've been having a really rough couple of weeks. I've been sick a lot, and I got all this going on, I got to watch this thing all day long on the news. I can't just, take a break. I got to be here if it is. And so I was, having a really rough week, man. And I tell you, I really enjoyed our conversation so much. And I think you'll enjoy it too. He's a really brilliant guy. He's a really smart guy. Okay. And, one of the greatest blessings of my life. I've been doing this radio show for 10 years, and I get to speak to some of the most smartest people, the most incredible people in the world. Lev Parnas, Patrick Berge, who was at the January 6th. He testified before the January 6th committee. He was there in Rudy Giuliani's house. He examined the Hunter Biden laptop. All this kind of stuff, these people I've had on the show over and over and over. So let's get into some of the smearing that they tried to put on this week of my good friend here. And they said, well, you were involved in all these cases with Bubba the Love Sponge and Hulk Hogan and Lindsay Lohan and Tila Tequila and Charlie Sheen, right? All this stuff, right? And then when they were questioning him, they said, well, then he started saying he couldn't remember and he couldn't recall. And you see this back from the Watergate hearing. Well, I do not recall. Okay, I could testify in court with exhibits, with emails, with text that Keith Davidson has a bad memory. He's got a horrible memory. And I will make jokes when we're talking on the phone. I'll make jokes about how bad his memory is. And I could talk to him the next day and he'll forget. He'll think that's a new joke. Okay? Which is great. If you're a guy like me making jokes all the time, you got a guy that forgets your jokes. You tell him the same joke over and over again. So anyway, so Keith Davidson there, he's got a bad memory. I could testify for that. Okay. But now some of these cases, now I talked to you last week about Tia Tequila. Okay. The young MySpace girl, who became famous. I told you last week that we saved her life. Okay. That's no joke, man. We saved her life. She had a brain aneurysm. The police came. She told them she couldn't open the door because she was in a wheelchair. She had accidentally overdosed on this medication. She just left the hospital with a brain aneurysm. So the other issues with Tia Tequila were not issues. In my opinion, these were issues regarding her wrongdoing that we were trying to address. So, and there was no kind of selling of salacious material or catch and kill or NDAs regarding Tia Tequila, okay, with Charlie Sheen, okay. My client in that case was Capri Anderson, the young lady who he attacked in the Plaza Hotel in New York, who was hiding in the bathroom, calling for help. She was only 5'5", less than 100 pounds, soaking wet. And when the police show up, Charlie Sheen, you hardly see this in the news anywhere. You'll hear it here in the Opperman Report. And I'll tell you what I know, okay, when I can. When the police show up, Charlie Sheen is naked, covered in his own blood because he had broken lamps and tables and mirrors and he was cut off from all his glass in the apartment there, okay. He's already out on probation for attacking Brooke Mueller, his wife or ex-wife at the time, on Thanksgiving night with a knife, okay. But hey, let him go. Okay, because somehow in all this, Mr. Keith Davidson becomes the bad guy, and Charlie Sheen becomes the good guy in this. Charlie Sheen is the good guy in this. Now you can look up on tabloids. I'm not saying if this is something, whatever, that I have any kind of special interest or information about this, but you can look up on the tabloids that Charlie Sheen is infected with the AIDS virus, and he was having sex with escorts and male prostitutes, by the way, okay, and infecting and exposing them to the AIDS virus, okay? So if Charlie Sheen has to pay $2 million for doing that kind of stuff, I think he should, okay? Okay? I think he deserves that. This is the Charlie Sheen, the same Charlie Sheen that was that guy, I almost got his name, Corey Feldman. That Corey Feldman accuses of being the one who molested Corey Haim. Okay, now, by the way, you can Google that, too. Man, I was talking about that years before Corey Feldman ever talked about that. And Corey Feldman comes to me and he wants to use my shows or my interviews on his pay-per-view that he's going to sell for $20. He wants it for me for free so he can go sell it. Thanks, Corey, but no thanks. Okay, so there's that allegation, okay. There's also the allegation of his first wife, Denise Richards, that said that there was child porn on his computer. And did you know that all this time Charlie Sheen is not allowed to visit his own children? He's not allowed to visit his own children unsupervised. That's a court order. And when Charlie Sheen went on TV and said, I've been extorted by all these horrible people out there extorting me for guys. Well, how much, Mr. Sheen, have you been extorted for? He says, about, let me think, $12 million. He's including his child support payments. He's including the money he has to pay for child support because there's an NDA agreement in that child support agreement too, okay, with Denise Richards, okay? So nothing improper was done in the Charlie Sheen litigation that I know of. Then there's Lindsay Lohan. They said, well, Lindsay Lohan had some information when she was in rehab. Gina Rodriguez is still friends with Michael Lohan, okay? I'm still friends with Dina Lohan. I've had Dina Lohan on my show. So there's somehow some kind of beef with the Lohans. Okay, I'm unaware of that. And Gina and Michael Lohan go back way, 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 way back. And if we have time, I'll even talk to you. When I was contacted by a fellow who was involved in some litigation with Britney Spears, and I'd love to talk about Britney Spears tonight if we have time, because there's been some tragic events with Britney Spears this week. We might have time. The fellow who came to me to do some digital forensics on his cell phone to recover some text messages and some litigation he had with Britney Spears' father told me that he was referred to me or he found out about me through Michael Lohan. Okay. By the way, this is one of the creepiest, scariest, most intense guys. Not Michael Lohan, the fellow who was in the litigation. Was one of the scariest guys I've ever dealt with. Where I'm talking to this guy up to 4 hours in one day, where it starts off, we're like, okay, man, this guy's intense. And then, we start talking, well, this guy's crazy. This guy's dangerous. Okay. This guy's so scary and so dangerous that I'm going to talk to him on the phone and pretend I'm willing to go work for him. And then I'm going to send him an email later on and block this guy all over the world. Maybe even move. Okay. Oh, by the way, too, you know what? There was another incident with Mr. Charlie Sheen where there's off-duty cops in uniform are running around kicking in doors, trying to obtain evidence and stuff like that against Mr. Charlie Sheen. Okay. So we got them all out of the way. Tia Tequila. Okay, fine. The woman with the fragile woman with problems. I don't know anybody did any harm to her. Charlie Sheen. This guy's a big boy, okay? You're out there doing these things. You got some little girl in a bathroom there. You're covered in blood. She's terrified. I think you should suffer some consequences. That if the cops just pat you on the back and let you go. Don't you? Okay? And then Bubba the Love Sponge. And Hulk Hogan. Bubba the Love Sponge decides to let Hulk Hogan have sex with his wife in his bedroom, in his house, and he films it. Now, that's salacious material. I agree. But that's them. That's not nobody else. I'm not holding that camera. I'm not in that bedroom. None of the people I'm mentioning here tonight are involved in that. That's them. That's their behavior. Okay? If any of these people would bring up that type of topic, I'd walk away. That's what they're doing. Okay? Now, I had some little problem, too, because when I did some telephone forensics in the Tiger Woods case, I was hired to vet out the Tiger Woods mistresses to see who was a real mistress and who wasn't. And there was one who I felt was a mistress. It turns out later on she wasn't. And then she comes up with this whole thing that she has a video of her having sex with Tiger Woods that everyone involved in all this knew was bogus. But Bubba the Love Sponge went ahead and purchased that video from her or made some kind of rights deal with her where he paid her some money and then he sued her to get it back. Now, with this deal here, what happens is you got a situation where there's a tape out there that's for sale. And this outlet wants to buy it, this outlet wants to buy it, they want to publicize it. Well, another person who might want to buy that is a person who's in the tape that might be embarrassed by that tape who might want to buy that tape. You can make an offer to them and say, hey, would you be interested in buying this tape? It's not a blackmail. Hey, if you don't, we're going to publish it. The tape's out there for sale, okay? If I can step in between that, I wasn't involved in that case at all, but if I can step in between that and get it back to the person who wants it, okay? So I do that kind of thing all the time, you see a wrong, you right it, okay, if you can.
But these guys figured, okay, well, we're going to get this tape for free. We're going to go to our friends, these cops down here in Florida in the sheriff's department, and we're going to report it to them. And they're going to make a referral to the FBI. The FBI monitors this whole little case here, right? And there's no arrest. No one was detained. No one was charged with anything because there was no crime. But they tried, the salacious. And that one guy on MSNBC, man, who's out there, Lawrence Michaels, that guy, man. If that guy would have been with the arms reaching me last night, I would have choked that guy. Okay, and then there was another one, a reporter who I've known for a while. She knows who I am. I saw her writing some stuff on Twitter. I contacted her. I said, hey, let me explain to you what happened with Charlie Sheen. And I explained to her a lot more detail what I just said to you. Okay. And she went on Cable News Anywhere and repeated this. Okay, this BS. Okay, man. So I don't know what's going on with that. A lot of this stuff is just sloppy reporting. They don't know what they're talking about. They don't understand the case. They don't understand the charges. For anybody involved in this who's watching this case that's still telling you, well, Michael Cohen is the star witness. He's the main witness. No, he's not, man. I've been working criminal defense as a criminal defense investigator for 40 years, okay? So I've seen a lot of cases, man. And this idea that they need Michael Cohen at this point, I'm sorry, they don't. All they need to prove here, okay, is that there were false business records in the Trump organization, that he made payments to Michael Cohen so that Michael Cohen could make these payments to Stormy Daniels, or for whatever reason, okay, to buy toys, whatever, to buy drugs, to whatever, okay? He gave money to Michael Cohen to go give to someone else, but then he put it down as legal fees. And even though there was only a transfer of $130 to Stormy Daniels, he gave Michael Cohen $400 to cover the taxes, which I can't believe he declared those taxes, but okay. All right. And they created a fake company, right? They created two fake companies, but they created shell companies to do this. So that is falsifying business records. That's a crime in New York State. If I did it, I'd be charged. If you did it, I'd be charged. Now, the predicate that makes it a felony is that it's to advance a political campaign. You can't do that, and that's what makes it a felony. These are very simple charges. It's been proven through David Pecker and Keith Davidson and today Hope Hicks and also Trump's secretary, I forget her name at the moment, or Ronan, okay? So all this, so far, we're fine, okay? We got a conviction so far as I could tell. So the idea that Michael Cohen's the star witness and the main witness, you just don't understand this case. Or I guess the cable shows are doing this because they want you to keep tuning in to see, well, hey, there's a bigger witness coming, something like that. I don't know what motivates these people anymore. I know that when Netflix smeared my guest, William Hamilton, that's an operation. Okay, that's an operation to make people not understand what happened to Danny Castellaro, the motives behind the murder of Danny Castellaro, and what Danny Castellaro was investigating and trying to expose. It's a distortion of those facts. I know that for a fact. When Netflix did that documentary about Maury Terry and the Son of Sam and the Process Church, that was done, in my opinion, to distort the truth and the facts of what really happened in Maury Terry's work and investigation to smear Maury Terry. I never got along with Maury Terry, okay? I never got along with him at all. Okay, he sabotaged a lot of interviews I tried to get with other people when I would mention his name. Okay, and then on the other hand, when someone would come to me and say, "Hey, Ed, I have information. I want you to get over to Maury Terry," I would do it. Okay, I'd send it right over, and then those two would become buddies, but they'd both hate me. Okay, I don't care. Anyway, let's see how we're doing on time here. Oh God. Okay, I can probably get into the Britney Spears stuff. Oh, but I want to get at this. Oh, I got another bone to pick. Okay. Ron Filipowski, my friend. What's going on here? Ron Filipowski does post a thing on Twitter. Okay. He doesn't know who I am, but I know I follow him. He's got a big account. He's a former Republican lawyer and very active on Twitter. Okay. And he writes this thing about how Trump does this when he's leaving the court yesterday. He says, I'm not allowed to testify because of the gag order. I won't be allowed to testify because I can't testify. And then he looks over at his attorney, Mr. Todd Blanche. Is that right? And Todd Blanche goes, he nods yes. Okay. What? What? Yeah. The gag order has nothing to do with your right, your Sixth Amendment right to testify in your own defense. Okay. Everyone knows about, I did a whole show about the Miranda warnings, Ernesto Arturo Miranda versus the state of Arizona in 1966, which is based on the Fifth Amendment, your Fifth Amendment rights to remain silent, and your Sixth Amendment right to an attorney, to have counsel and representation of an attorney. Your Sixth Amendment right also covers your right to testify. By the way, it also covers your right to be advised of what the charges are against you. So when you're being interrogated by these cops and they're telling you, unless you agree to waive your rights, then I can't talk to you. Oh, that's not true. Okay, I'm standing on my rights. I'm not waiving my Fifth Amendment right. I'm not going to talk to you. Okay, I'm not going to incriminate myself. I do want to avail myself of a representation of an attorney, and I want to be informed of what the charges are against me. Well, I can't talk to you because you won't waive your rights. No, I'm standing on my right, so you do have to talk to me. Okay, that's the spirit of that Sixth Amendment being advised of your charges. That's the spirit of it. I guess there's been some case law where they can get away with doing this. I don't know how. It's just disgusting. All of our rights are being taken away from us. So you have the right to an attorney. You have the right to be advised of the charges against you. You have the right to testify in your own defense, to prepare witnesses and evidence. Okay, that's all covered under the Sixth Amendment. Okay, so the fact that a candidate for the president of the United States of America doesn't understand what an idiot like me, who has an associate's in paralegal studies, okay, that's where I learned that 40 years ago. Okay, but then in my life, okay, and I haven't been to court as many times as Mr. Trump has, okay, he's got a sister who was a federal judge. Guy's got 4,000 lawsuits, plus he's got criminal charges right now up the wazoo. He doesn't understand this, so either he's lying to you, or he's lost his mind, he's incompetent, or he's stupid. He doesn't know. But what the hell is Todd Blanche's attorney nodding his head in agreement? What the hell is that? So Mr. Filipowski, says, hey, Trump is lying to you when he says he doesn't. And I says, I did my exact post. I have it in front of you. I says, right. And WTF, Todd Blanche was right there nodding in agreement. Trump turns to him to confirm it's true, and he agrees. This should be the biggest story of the week, and it really should. The judge needs to have a hearing to see if Trump really believes this and why his attorney would let him think that. That could be a mistrial. So I believe that Trump the judge should have had a hearing, but the first thing in the morning, the judge corrected Trump and says, you understand that you have a Sixth Amendment right to testify in your defense, right? I don't know how Trump responded, but it seems to be cleared up. But this needs to be looked into. And now, Filipowski here, what is this guy? Who's this guy? And I like him. I'm not mad at the guy. It's not like I dislike the guy. Ron Filipowski. Okay, that's the fellow's name. You should follow him on Twitter. He's got good information. They got an article about him, and I'm reading it online here. Where now because when I replied to his comment like that, I got like 100 reposts and 100 people liking the post. Okay, he didn't. Okay, but now he's agreeing with me in this article. I don't know how that works, and I get no credit for nothing. You'll see. If you're on TikTok and you tune into this live show every week, and I'm going to do some kind of little live short things too, not live, but the little TikTok. I got great produced TikTok clips from the show, and with audio from the show and video and stuff like that. A lot of good stuff that people did for me as volunteers. If you're out there, you want to volunteer, help me produce my TikTok, get a hold of me if you're into this kind of stuff. If you're into these kind of stories, this kind of topics I cover, conspiracy, promise, anything Epstein. I did the first radio show on Jeffrey Epstein in 2013. Nobody knew the name Jeffrey Epstein. When I couldn't find a guest to come on the show and do a show about Jeffrey Epstein. And then later on I obtained the 24-page letter where Jeffrey Epstein claimed to create the Clinton Foundation. Okay, if you've read that letter anywhere online, you've read it from someone who went to my website and purchased it from me, because I'm the guy that found that letter. I know the people involved. Where are we? Let's see. We had this whole thing with Kristi Noem. I'd love to do an hour on that. Maybe I'll do a couple of short. Oh, yeah, we're already out of time. Okay, so coming after this will be Dr. Lance Moore, okay, about the show about, let me pull it up. Stop being so damn lazy. Show's over. I can relax, right? Lance Moore is, I lost my voice too. Lance Moore, Cults on Trial, a cross-examination of Jim Jones, Charles Manson, Hitler, and Donald Trump. Brilliant guy. I really enjoyed our conversation. Then after that will be Bill Deere. Nice guy. Okay. Got along great. Like I said before, he gets a little impatient with me, man, during the interview. And we kind of run out of stuff to talk about, man. When OJ died, I was asked to be a guest. They wanted to interview me about the death of OJ on WABC in New York. But it was at 3 a.m. I couldn't do it. So I guess I'm somehow considered some kind of expert on OJ, but here I am. I'm right in the middle of this whole thing, and no one wants to talk to me about this. William C. Deere, OJ is innocent, and I can prove it, is what he says, and he thinks it's Jason. Okay, guys, I'm exhausted. And by the way, if you're listening on TikTok and you're new, if you listen on Spreaker, you get to hear all the music. I put music, rock. I did a really funny song at the beginning of this one here, and then I'm going to play a song at the end of it. So you get to have that, too, if you're listening on Spreaker. And if you normally listen on Spreaker, now you're going on TikTok, please don't do that because I need that income. I need those plays on TikTok. I need those advertising plays and downloads on TikTok. So even if you do want to watch the TikTok, at least go play the show over on Spreaker for me. And Spreaker is the best way to do it. You can get on Apple Plays and stuff like that too, SoundCloud, all that garbage. But I get the most money from Spreaker.com. And there's a chat room. You get an email notification when we put up new content. I play repeats every night and do a live show 8 p.m. every Friday night, Eastern Standard Time. The Opperman Report. And I am your host, Private Investigator Ed Opperman. Good night, and I'll see you next week.
I've got to know, friend. Hungry lips ask me wherever I go. Comrades and friends all falling around me. I've got to know, yes, I've got to know. Why do your war boats ride on my waters? Why do your death bombs fall down from my skies? Tell me, why do you burn my farm and my town down? I've got to know, friend, I've got to know. I've got to know, yes, I've got to know, friend. Hungry lips ask me wherever I go. Comrades and friends all falling around me. I've got to know, yes, I've got to know. What makes your boat haul death to my people? Nitro blockbusters, big cannons and guns. Why doesn't your ship bring food and some clothing? I've got to know, folks, I've got to know. Why can't my two hands get a good paid job? I can still plow, plant, I can still sow, reap. Why did your law book chase me off my good land? sure like to know, friend, I've just got to know. I've got to know, yes, I've got to know, friend. Hungry lips ask me wherever I go. Comrades and friends all falling around me. I've got to know, yes, I've got to know. What good work did you do? I'd like to ask you. Give you my money right out of my hands. I built your big house here to hide from my people. Why did you hide so? I'd like to know. I've got to know, yes, I've got to know, friend. Hungry lips asked me wherever I go. Comrades and friends all falling around me. I've got to know, yes, I've got to know. You keep me in jail and you lock me in prison. Your hospital's jammed and your crazy house full. What made your cop kill my trade union worker? Have to talk plain, cause I sure got to know. I've got to know, yes, I've got to know, friend. Hungry lips ask me wherever I go. Comrades and friends all falling around me. I've got to know, yes, I've got to know. Why can't I get work and cash a big paycheck? Why can't I buy things in your place in your store? Why do you close my plant and my down? I've asking you, man, cause I've sure got to know. I've got to know, yes, I've got to know, friend. Hungry lips ask me wherever I go. Comrades and friends all falling around me. I've got to know, yes, I've got to know.